Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you just so happen to be stopping by for the very first time, my name is Donella and this is my little world right here. Now in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you guys step by step what I do in terms of highlighting and contouring, how I actually get my face to look snatched, on days when I go out and I don't know, some people call it looking man. I just call it looking good because whenever I go out on the town, I need to look snatched, I need to look good. I need to know when person say, hey, may I start do makeup? I'm like, look, oh me? Me? Oh, stop. All right, so if you guys are interested in learning how I achieve my a very snatched look, then please stay tuned. So for this first step, I know some persons like to do it in reverse, Some persons like to apply their foundation, concealer, contour, powders, everything first, and then they focus on the eye area. However, I feel like this area right here requires the most work. So I like to kind of get this area done first, doing my eyebrows, applying my eyeshadow, liner, lashes, everything else, because I feel like that area is the most work, and I like to do that area first and just kind of like run through everything else afterwards, apply my foundation, my concealer, highlight, contour, everything else. I feel like that part right there is the easiest part, so I like to do the most difficult part first, which is right here. Yeah, I'm probably like quarter of the way completed with my makeup. The only thing I haven't applied is my lashes and I haven't applied any eyeshadow or any liner or anything to my bottom eye area because I have to highlight and put on my foundation and so forth. So look, I'm going to be applying two foundations. One is the Maybelline Super C 24-hour foundation. This one is in the shade Warm Coconut, and this is the Cover FX Natural Finish foundation, and this one is in the shade N100. I do, however, think that this foundation runs a little bit too much on the neutral side, so I usually like to mix it with a foundation that I know has like a really yellow undertone, which is the Maybelline Super C foundation. So I'm going to be applying both of them, and I already have it pumped on the back of my hand, and as soon as I locate my beauty blender, I'm going to start. Where is she? Okay, hold the phone. Let me just rose back a little bit here. Like what I say here, rose back. Let me just a little bit here. I haven't applied any primer yet. I'm going to be priming with the Black Radiance True Complexion Skin Refining Primer, and I am absolutely in love with this stuff right here. Anything that covers up or minimizes my very large pores is going to be my best friend for life. Then after that, I'm just going to take my beauty blender and apply both of those foundation that I combine to my face real quick. Now that we've covered all our bases, literally, the next step is to highlight, of course. And for my highlight, I'm going to be using two concealers. The first one I'm going to be using is this one from NARS. It's the Radiant Creamy Concealer, and this one is in the shade Ormond. And I'm just going to basically drag it in the areas where I want to highlight. The first area, now I know some persons usually highlight differently. Some persons go, their under eye area, their forehead, their nose, their chin, and all kind of different areas. I just focus on the areas that I know actually needs to be highlighted according to my features. And I don't do a nose highlight. I don't contour my nose. I don't do all that extraness. I am extra, but I just feel like my features don't require all of that. And then I usually just drag just a bit of it below right down here because I feel like this actually helps to bring my face alive. Then after that, I'm going to take the same beauty blender and I'm just going to I usually like to start from right here, like where the nostrils of my nose, and just kind of blend outwards and come all the way up. I don't like to start from here. I feel like whenever you start from here, the concealer actually pushes upward. I mean, you really want the concealer to be as close as possible to your bottom lashes, but I find whenever I do that, the concealer kind of creases and so forth. So I like to start from right here, start blending it from right here, and then just go outwards and then upwards. And of course, you have to look up to make sure that the concealer is covering all the areas that you want it to cover. And then I go on the other side and I do the same thing. And I know some persons don't know this, but whenever you're blending out your concealer, you want to make sure that you blend it as close as possible to this area right here, which is, you know, the edge of your nose, and then you drag it outwards. This is going to help your, like if you have a big nose, this is actually going to help your nose look just a teeny bit smaller. Just a teeny bit, you know. Or if you want to keep your nose as big as it is, you know, if you're comfortable with your natural big noseness, then of course, you know, you don't have to do all of that. But for those of us who actually want our noses to look, you know, just a tiny bit more snatched, then that's the trick to getting it look just, you know, slimmer. I know a lot of people don't know this, but concealer actually brightens and make the area look bigger, whereas contouring actually makes the area look darker and more slimmer and smaller. So that's the reason why I contour and I highlight. That is the purpose of highlighting and contouring. A lot of people don't really know that, but so the brighter your concealer is, the bigger the area is going to look, especially if you apply a lot below your under eye area. The second concealer I'm going to apply is this one from ColourPop. It's their No Filter Concealer, and this one is in the shade Dark Number 40. And this one I'm just going to actually apply a teensy bit of it. I'm mostly going to focus it on the area right here, because this is the area where I actually have really large pores. So I'm just going to apply some teeny insy bit of it because I really want to brighten that area right here before I set it with my my powder, because I do I do feel like my my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer kind of oxidized, so it kind of looks like my skin now. So I usually like to apply just a little bit of the ColourPop concealer over it just to brighten it up a little bit, because it kind of fades into my skin, which is why I actually like it. I love to wear that whenever I'm going to work because it's not too bright and it gives me that natural, not too bright finish that I'm looking for. So I'm just going to blend this out, then I'm going to apply my contour. Now you can drag your concealer out as far as you want, but of course, you know, this is the area that you're going to contour. So usually, you know, I would always see your contour in somewhat of a number 3. You start from here, you go in, and then you go like this. So it's almost like you're creating like a number 3 or the letter E, whichever one you want to call it. For my contour, I'm going to be using my favorite foundation stick from Black Opal. This one is their True Color foundation stick, and this one is in the shade Ebony Brown. Y'all already know I absolutely love this. And I'm going to do the number 3 that I just spoke about. So I'm just going to be doing this and this. Same thing on the other side, only in reverse, and like this. Now some persons actually like to do like the whole dotted line thing, but because this is really huge, the dotted line thing is not gonna work. No man. So just gonna do it like that. And then here's the trick to blending out your contour. You never start from here. You always start backwards, and then you push it upwards a little bit so that it actually connects with the highlight. That's how you're going to get your highlight and your contour to actually mesh together somewhat, so it doesn't leave that really harsh line. You know, some persons tend to blend out their contour and your highlight, and you can actually see where the highlight starts and where the contour ends. We don't want any of that, so we take our time and blend both of them together. Now, because my shape is very, sorry, not my shape, because my face is very long, I tend to contour downwards so that my face looks more chiseled and my contour looks more, you know, like woman basically. So I tend to basically blend downwards so that I get that really chiseled look, and so that my contour and my highlight actually meets and there's no harsh lines. So this actually takes some time. It's kind of like blending out your what do you call it, your eyeshadow, and I feel like I applied way too much, so I think this is gonna take me some time to blend out. All of my contour blended out, and I think the mistake I made is because I'm actually on camera. I wanted you guys to really see the points where the areas where I'm applying the contour, so I kind of went in really heavy. Now the next step that I usually do now, because the tip of the beauty blender still has the concealer on it, what I would do is kind of drag it just below my contour, and this is going to help define your contour even more. Now I know some persons like to use their translucent powder to do this, but sometimes the translucent powder can be kind of difficult to blend out afterwards, so I like to do this instead. Just apply whatever is left over on my beauty blender from the concealer, and then just drag it below to kind of help to define my contour a bit more. And then after that, of course, we're going to go in with our setting powder and set the highlighted areas. So the next step would be setting the highlighted areas with your translucent powder. I kind of actually already went in and I didn't realize that the camera has stopped filming. So what I'm doing here is the same thing that I do all the time. I take a bit of the translucent powder onto my damp beauty blender. By the way, whenever you're using the beauty blender, always make sure that it's damp, not soaking wet, of course, just damp enough so that you can blend out your foundation, you can blend out your concealer, and once it's still damp after you've done all of that, then you can use it to set your highlight as well. Like, I don't bake these days. I usually just take the damp beauty blender and press the translucent powder into my skin. And I like to actually drag this kind of all over my forehead area because I barely put any powder on it, because this area right here tends to sweat like a lot. So I try as much as possible to put very little product in this area right here. It's big and it sweats a lot, yeah. So the next step would be to set my contour in place. Whenever you use the next step would be to set my contour in place. Whenever you use a creamy product, any sort of creamy product, I'm sure everybody should know this. It's just like whenever you use your concealer and you always set it with your translucent powder. The same thing applies to whenever you use a creamy contour product. You always have to set it in place with powders. Now I know some persons actually prefer the whole dewy look and they don't set their creamy contours. However, persons like me who have oily skin, I need all the help I can get, so that doesn't work for me. So I actually have to set my contour in place, and one of the products that I've recently been reaching for, I think you guys have seen me use it before in my previous videos, and it's become one of my favorites as of May. I just saw it in my makeup drawer and I was like, hey, I haven't done this in a while. This baby right here, for those of you who've been following me from the inception of MUADonellaD's YouTube channel, then you guys would have seen me use this baby right here in my earlier videos. It's from my Melt Cosmetic stack, the Rust stack, and this one is actually the shade Rust. It's kind of like a rusty red shade. I always use it to highlight, and as of late I've been using it again to set my not highlight, my contour in place. I don't know, it just has this like really like rusty reddish undertone, which I really love. Whenever I contour, this is the type of contour that I like to see. I like to see a bit of redness in my my contour, so I've been reaching for this a lot as of the month of May. So who knows, maybe this might actually end up in my May favorites video if I actually film a May favorites video. So I'm just going to contour. By the way, the same rule applies whenever you're applying the powder to set your contour in place. You always start from the back and you end right here. You never go too far out, because then you know your contour might look a little bit crazy. And you always do it in an upward position, especially if you have a really long face like I do. You always blend out your contour in an upward position. This next step is completely optional, but y'all already know I'm extra. So of course I'm going to reach into my Beauty Bakery coffee and cocoa palette, and I'm just going to dab just a tiny bit of antidepressant right over that, just a little, just a tiny bit right here to bring alive my contour even more. Now this is actually this is optional. You don't really have to do this much to your contour, but this is just what I do because I'm extra. You'll already know that anyway. And then of course the next step would be to apply a highlight. Let me think about what highlight I want to use and I'll be back real quick. So for my highlight, I have decided to use one of Artist Couture's highlight for this look. And this one is the shade Who's Your Daddy, Baby? I know who mine is. You're gonna ask me that. So y'all already know these Artist Couture diamond glow powders are extremely intense. So whenever you're highlighting, for those of you who don't know, you always apply the highlight to the highest point of your cheek, and my highest point is actually right here, and you kind of want to bring it down into the contour so that everything actually looks like it's blended together. So I like to do it like that. Usually whenever I'm applying the diamond glow powder, I tend to use kind of like a teardrop type brush because it's like a loose highlight, so it's much easier to work with whenever you use like a teardrop type brush, and then you kind of just like blend it backwards into your contour as well, downwards and backwards as well, because you're trying to make sure that everything looks just seamless. You've done that, then you would go ahead and apply your blush. Now I know some persons don't like blush. Like I actually have clients who prefer not to wear blush, but if you're a blush girl like me, then you know you actually apply the blush between the highlight and the contour, and it kind of actually brings everything together. This is a really light blush, so I'm not even sure if it's going to show up on camera, but this is one of the reasons why I love it. It's not like a super bright blush. It just has the right amount of pink in it. It's not too overpowering. I don't really like super bright blushes either. I just like to look bronzed and glowy, and I'm good. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and complete the rest of my face. You know, apply my lashes, do my bottom area, and then apply my lipstick, and I'll be back real quick. Okay, so I'm just going to complete the rest of my face, you know, apply my lashes, do my bottom eye area, apply my lip, and then I will be right back. Alright guys, so if you happen to have appreciated this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up on your way out, and also drop me a comment down in the comment section, you know, if you happen to have any sort of requests for a video. Yes, please be sure to leave me a comment down in the comment section. And also, if you happen to be here for the very first time and you have not already subscribed to my channel, please be sure to click that subscribe button on your way out. Until my next upload, I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye bye. This lipstick smells like Starburst, the tropical Starburst. Wow. I wonder why the lipstick always has to go on your teeth. I would like, when I get a boyfriend, that he would allow me to kiss, that he would allow me to kiss him with this much lipstick on. Oh, okay, girl, this lipstick is getting out of here. I think we need to fix her. I would like, whenever I get a boyfriend, he would allow me to kiss him with this much lipstick on my mouth. Then we'll never get divorced.